web3.tv.
Welcome back to Web3 and Freedom with Web3 podcast. I'm Cristina Najera, and today we are going to talk about how to be free with Web3. Is it possible? I have with me Andres. He is from OG Media. How are you, Andres? I'm very excited to highlight him because he has a very interesting journey. Also, he is from Colombia, very close to my country. I am from Ecuador. And here we are going to discover, can you be free with Web3? What is Web3? And actually, what is freedom? Let's start. How are you doing today?
Hola, Cristina. Hey, everybody in Web3. Very happy to be here in your show. I love the setup. I love what you're doing with everything here. But yeah, and I love to talk about freedom. I think everybody wants freedom in their life, right?
Yes, let's start with that. Would you like to share what is freedom for you?
Well, actually, more than freedom for me, people ask me recently what it means crypto, what I mean becoming financial independent, and it's the freedom that you have to do whatever you want, like traveling or buying stuff, but also the freedom to give support or backup to your family. So for me, freedom is not do whatever you want because you have to follow rules wherever you live, but freedom for me is that having the ability to do anything at any moment that you want.
Yes, I think freedom is a very hot topic because it's different for everyone, right? And especially if you are in a city where you are not from that city, you need to follow the regulations of that city. If you are under, let's say, your family, live with your family, you need to follow the rules of the house.
Yeah.
So freedom, I think, finish when the freedom of the other person starts. And I remember this because I was at school and they were teaching us what is freedom. And then I realized, okay, I have this freedom, but it finished when the other person's freedom starts. So yes, I think it's different for everyone. And that's the beauty of it because every person have different perspectives on freedom.
Yes.
So with Web3, how you can explain Web3 in easy words?
In easy words? Well, the whole Web3 or crypto blockchain or the whole ecosystem?
The whole ecosystem.
Wow, okay, that's a good question. So I explain it to my kids, right?
Perfect.
The best way. So Web2, I have a 10 or 5 years old boy and girl. And they're, Daddy, what do you do? What is crypto? What is blockchain? What is Web3? What is all of this? I studied myself computer engineering back in Colombia. So I have a bit of knowledge of how blockchain works, right? But for me, it became easy to explain when I became a teacher and started creating content and all of that. So when I told, actually my son recently, he explained me what was Bitcoin. He said, Daddy, I want to work with you.
Wow.
And he's only 10. I said, okay, go and watch this video and explain me back what is Web3, blockchain. So in a nutshell, for me, Web2 is the way that you can send information, and it's only information, it doesn't have value attached to it, right? So you send a picture and a video on WhatsApp or email or whatever application you have, you send information and you can copy it and then send it to you. If I send you a picture of this camera to you on WhatsApp, it's the copy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Web3 starts with assets, with Bitcoin. If I send you 1 unit of Bitcoin or Satoshis, I send you value and it cannot be replicated. And after that, Web3, it becomes bigger. You know, now we have DeFi, CeFi, real-world assets, AI, layer 1, layer 2. We have a bunch of assets traveling on the net. But that Web3 is attached to asset values.
Wow.
So I told my kids, instead of me sending you a picture of Teletubbies, I want to send you Solana. That's an asset. That's the best way to explain. Before in Web2, you were sending information. In Web3, you're sending value.
Oh, wow. Very easy to understand.
Yeah.
I will also like to add that Web3 could be described as when you own something, right?
Yes.
I recently joined a course called She5, and what I knew...
She5.
Yeah, She5, yes.
Okay.
It's She Finance.
Okay.
So it's like financial for women.
Okay.
And what I realized is that what I thought is what they explained. So for me, it was like mind-blowing because my understanding of Web3 is you own things, right? So with Web1, you can only read, right?
Yeah.
In Web1, you don't have access to engage. You don't have social media.
Yeah.
with Web2, you have social media, so you could
Yeah.
interact, right? You have Facebook, you have Instagram, so you can post your things.
Yes.
You can share everything with the world. However, with Web3, what you can do now is you can own whatever you create. And that's the beauty of Web3. And that's what I love about it. And that's when I think we could be free, right? Because we could own whatever we do.
Yes.
So knowing that, I would love to know more about your journey. Tell us, why did you start in this amazing space?
In blockchain and crypto. So it's actually, thank you so much for explaining in a very detailed way to Chify what is Web3. Yeah, basically you own data. But start with the sending of peer-to-peer transactions. So going back to your question is, I started crypto in 2016. I'm computer engineer from Colombia. Long story short, I moved to the UK about 17 years ago, 2008, 16 years ago. And I started from the bottom. I was a computer engineer. I did an information security course or diploma. I don't know how they call it here in Colombia. Then I moved to the UK with $300. And then I cleaned toilets. I was washing up. I was doing everything for 3 years. And then fast forward, I managed to ending up doing my job as a computer engineer. I work for the biggest companies I work for Airbus Military, for Siemens, for Sangua. I fulfilled what I studied, right? But in 2014, I started as an entrepreneur. And then I started my first company is still running. It's called Viva First. It was a company that we were helping students to go from Colombia and study abroad to learn English. So Australia, America, UK, even Dubai now. So that company is still running. But then in 2016, when you're an entrepreneur, you're looking for more ways to make money.
Yeah.
I wasn't making any money back then. I was just breaking even and still having a job. And I saw this advert on Facebook about Bitcoin. And they said the crypto scam.
Wow.
So that crypto word, it resonated with me because I studied cryptography, right? A unit.
Okay.
And then I started research. Fast forward, I spent about 6 months I searched about M-Pesa. I don't hear about M-Pesa. It was the SMS solution in Africa that people were using to buy electricity and everything.
Okay.
That was the first case of a study I saw before jumping into crypto. So M-Pesa, I can't remember if it was Uganda or Zimbabwe, but people in Africa and Latin America that are really poor, they don't have access to bank. Mm-hmm. But everybody has a mobile phone with SMS.
Correct.
So people were going to, for example, 7-Elevens and they were topping up the electricity through SMS. So that, I remember that because back in Colombia when I was little, in the 90s, I remember people were struggling in the mountains. My family from the Andes to pay for electricity. So that resonated with me. Fast forward, ending up with the Bitcoin white paper in front of me. It's really short, the Bitcoin white paper, I guess it's only 16 pages or 18 pages.
Yeah, it's
really short.
Yeah.
I read it, and then that blew my mind. And then I started to research more. And then I bought my first Bitcoin at 320 pounds, sterling pounds, about $400.
How many you got?
I got only one. I didn't have much money. I used my credit card. I remember I bought it on a central exchange. And I keep it there for 6 months. I didn't do anything to it.
Did you need a seed phrase for it?
I need a seed phrase. Back then, no, because it's a centralized exchange.
Centralized, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have that Bitcoin, by the way. I lost that many more
Few of us, we always, most of us lost our birth. So worry, you are not alone.
We're not alone. So I jumped from that. Then I started to research more about what was crypto. There's a very good book that I read and recommend. It's called Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper. The Untold Story of Bitcoin. That book fascinated me because, I read that book and then I read a book with blockchain, how to build blockchain. I read so many technical books, but they're too boring.
Yes.
So then I read this one, Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper, and explained the storytelling about how Satoshi Nakamoto started from the beginning in 2007 and 2008. Satoshi Nakamoto was the first person to build a community without social media. He was reaching out on email to developers explaining what was Bitcoin. And then there were only 2 people that pay attention to him. And between those 3, started the transaction and mining Bitcoin and sending Bitcoin to each other. Wow. But remember, Satoshi was doing this only by email out an idea. And he managed to find people to help him out. So all the story in that book say, and then how it went from there, I still tell all the names of everybody that was involved. And then they tell about Silk Road. You know what the Silk Road about all the bad stuff that happened with Bitcoin. And they talk about the Bitcoin conference in New York held in 2013. They talk about a bunch of stuff, all the way until Ethereum. So all these people in this book, I have met a couple of them, which is
Wow, that's so impressive.
so Roger Berg was there as well, but now he's not around anymore. But there were so many people there. That book helped me a lot. So, and fast forward, I start to research more about crypto. I start to build communities. I volunteer myself. This is the thing that people don't know about in crypto. You have to volunteer, you have to become volunteer in companies to learn, right? So I volunteered myself for this company was just getting started. It was a trading software bot company.
Okay.
I started I left my high paid job as an engineer, and I said, look, I want to work with you guys. I started as a customer service, and I had so many tickets. This company, it was connecting exchanges with the users. So what we were doing was trading. They have we were not trading. The software were trading on their behalf. They didn't have to send the money to the company. They keep it in their wallets on Binance, EBTC, Bittrex. There was a bunch. And then the software were trading on their behalf. In that company, I learned a lot. Why? Because I was explaining what was crypto, how to set up an exchange, how to connect with API keys. It was very technical. I came from a technical background, but I was very good with people. So I helped that company to grow to 40,000 users around, from everywhere. We have people in South Africa, in all Asia, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, everywhere, Mexico, Colombia. That job made me to travel, and I started to get connected to more people.
Wow.
So that was the first approach. It was quite fast forward. It was 2017, 2018. It was the bull market, the first bull market experience. I make a lot of money, but then I lost it all. But I'll explain you more detail how that happened after.
Yes, I think being educated on how to manage money is very important, especially in this market, because in this ecosystem, because you can earn a lot, but also you can have this mindset of, okay, I have a lot of money now, I can put it and I can risk it.
Yeah.
So that's when, everything changed. And also, Andres, you mentioned two things very important that I want to highlight. The number one is community.
Yes.
I think community is extremely important in this space, and I get invited to speak about this because I have been in community since I was at college.
Wow.
And I think that's very relevant in Web3 as well, because if you create a narrative where people follow and people connect with your values, with your vision, you will build a community, and then people will bring their own talents, and you can create a space where you can develop this project or product or community, right? So I would love to know more about how did you start your communities, right? For me, I think it's important to give value, to give value away, because it's when people realize that you really care about it, right?
Yeah.
And in this ecosystem where a lot of people are here only for the money, I think combining both, having the vision, having the passion, but also thinking how I can benefit from this,
Yes.
it's important, because at the end of the day, we all want both, right?
Yes.
We want to build a community, we want to have a vision, and we want to also make money. So would you like to share more about that?
So the community, look, having a community is a lot of work. But people think it's easy. And most of the people start in crypto because they like the idea, they like the fundamentals. But then most of us, including myself, we see also there was a way to make a lot of money really fast. But then when you lose all the money, you realize, it wasn't about the money. It was about an idea, community, or technology. So I think so most of us have been through those processes. So money, no money, losing, winning. And then, but the most important, having a community, regardless you have money or no money, or you're building or no building, is the most important part for any company. So using the biggest companies in Web3 and crypto, the community is really strong. But to get there, you have to go through a lot of process, right?
Yeah.
My experience with community has been quite good. When I started in 2016, 17, my first community was my family. I was explaining then on Zoom call about Bitcoin. Some people pay attention, some people didn't pay attention. That was my first community. I was telling all my friends that people were thinking I was crazy. Like, why are you talking about Bitcoin? We're going to get scammed. Why are you doing with this? And then when I started to work in this company, doing the customer service, I became so good at explaining what was it that I became the general manager and basically one of the community leads for that company. And then I left crypto in 2018. 2019, I left crypto for personal reasons. And then I started to build a community on Clubhouse.
Okay.
Clubhouse?
Yes, of course.
So I have a community of 150,000 people, most of them Spanish speaker Latin American.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it only entrepreneur. I wasn't speaking about crypto. I was talking about only personal brand.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm telling all of this because I started a journey in 2019 and 20 and 21. I started to work a lot with influencers in Latin America. So I created one of the biggest influencer marketing companies during COVID, and we were helping entrepreneurs, CEOs, brands to grow to shout outs or giveaways on influencer marketing. That's how I grew so fast on Instagram. I got to 1 million because I met all the influencers and they were giving a shout out to my account. But that has to be with community. But it was their community, it wasn't my community. So I have a bunch of subscribers, followers that now they say, why I'm following this guy that my friend told me, but let me just think about crypto now. The most difficult part of community is not gaining followers or community members, is maintaining them and how you can enhance or help them with your products and services. And then in 2022, when I came back to crypto, one of my good friends from Binance told me, hey, look, I have this project. I would like that you showcase on your stories. I'm not an influencer. I just have, this is my company. No, help me out. So I helped her. And then she told me, you're a KOL. I said, what is a KOL? She said, a key opinion leader. What is that? Crypto influencers. I just helping you. So that was my started in community with crypto. So it went from that big community in crypto, then from social media, then Clubhouse, then ending up again I was dragged back into crypto. And then what I've been doing the last 2 years with my podcast is creating a community around the podcast, around Crypto OGs, that's the name of my podcast. I have the only thing that I haven't done, and probably I know it's not that I'm lazy or no. I've been concentrating more in the B2B. I don't offer an info product or I don't offer a course. And I have so many people always asking, Andres, why you don't give us a course? Because I've done this so many times. I explained 2 weeks ago, I was sitting with somebody explaining what was Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But some of my friends, I was explaining, I said, why you should put this in a course? I said, maybe one day. But the community that I have is loyal because I never tell them anything. I just share my ideas for free. What I do is with the B2B side, that's the way that I make money. So maybe we can dig into this part, how to make money having a community, but not using them, if not helping them. That's what the content creators, especially in crypto, have to be very careful. For the last 2 years, 2 years ago, everybody left. People stopped creating content after what happened with FTX. But then, 6 months ago or 1 year ago, everybody came back to start to creating content. But you have to play the long term. You have to add value and thinking the community is going to get bigger and better if you only provide value and not you're doing for a transaction. Having that in the middle, the more difficult for a content creator or a community builder. How to make money, because I see a bunch of people, they make a lot of money, but they don't provide value. I make a lot of people, they don't make any money, but they provide a lot of value and create a lot of content. Being in the middle is the most challenging part. And that's why you see so many content creators failing or succeeding, is how to get to that middle.
Yeah, I think when it comes to content creation, it's very important to understand that is the giving and receiving. And what I can say is that when you have a community and they trust you and you have similar values, I guess you can create money like together. I think that's what happened with meme coins, right?
Yes.
I know a lot of friends who have like groups and they say, okay, we all will invest on this meme coin. So all of them invest and they know that the meme coin can go like crazy, like 10x,
Or
100x,
zero.
or they can lose their money. So they are aware of that. I think transparency and being very honest with what will happen in any case is very important because it's how you build trust.
Yeah.
And for content creators, I think it's also important to have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
Because that's not something that they like usually have. Like because a content creator is usually more creative.
Yes.
So they love what they do. They are very passionate about it. They love to create content. However, if they want to make money, they need to understand how business works,
Yes.
right? So having a background of business, I think will be
It helps.
great to have this combination of, okay, I have a community, I love to create content, but also I want to make this as a career. So how I can combine both, right?
Yeah.
And also what I like to know more is like you have the community, you have the content creator, and then you need to understand how I can get money. It could be from sponsors,
Yes.
maybe. It could be maybe from a specific person that is supporting this cause. It will be from a company. There are so many ways, but of course, it's a mindset that needs a strategy behind.
Yes.
So having that mindset, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Having somebody who is looking at what you do, not just as a project or as a hobby, but as a business.
Yes.
So I think having this mindset for content creators will be very important
Yes.
because it's how they can create value,
Yeah.
and also, have money, especially in this space where it's very volatile. We don't know if Bitcoin will go up or down. People said that Bitcoin will be 1 million maybe.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, but I think it will be 1 million one day. When? I don't know when.
Yeah, because the supply is limited. So that's the, basic economics. You have limited supply, so the value will increase.
So 3 things, Cristina. Something that I'm going from what you're saying, I'm going all the way back what you say about how to make money in community. My son actually, he understood the concept of Bitcoin really fast when he understood it was limited. I say, what is limited? And now he say, I know it's limited, it's not unlimited, and I know it's based in a smart contract. My son is 10 years old. So, and now the second part, let me go back all the way to the beginning of this show. You know what is freedom? I think so having peace of mind. That you can have, I've seen so many people with so much money, but they don't have peace of mind, either with the family or with the community or with the government. Having peace of mind that you can go to sleep and don't feel guilty, that's the best thing. I think that's freedom. And now let's go back to the content creation and how to make money. Look, everything changed the last 2 years. 3-4 years ago, the content creation, it was not easy, but when it was the bull market, all the content creators were making so much money because they were creating every day. Hey, Bitcoin is going to 20, 30, 40, 60,000. Follow me here and go and subscribe to my centralized exchange. And they get, which it worked perfectly. And so many people make so much money of that, become multimillionaires. I know so many of them, and like hats off to them because they did it. But there was also a lot of stuff that happened in 2021 and 22. Brands were paying a ridiculous amount of money also to ambassadors, to people, especially in America, And then people didn't understand what they were getting into, right? So I think so what happened, especially in 2022 with FTX, it was a blessing in disguise. It helped so many people to realize it can be risky. People can lose money. Obviously, I lost money as well. I had so many people that lost money, but people learned the hard way, right? Obviously, they were family destroyed. It was really bad, right? But you have to build that mindset again, right? Now, what happened was also before people were flashing stuff. And I don't know, you noticed the last 2 years, the content creation changed a lot. Before it was about the Lambo, about the parties, about the private jet. That content was converting a lot, and it's still converting. But because all the DJs or people that jump in crypto the last 1, 2, 3 years, they become more wise and they don't get impressed by these kind of things. And especially companies understood also that they cannot just have sign-ups because somebody has an expensive car. It's very good and it's very smart how they do it, because it's not only for crypto. All this concept of the Lambo and the house, it comes for oil info products, right? Not only for crypto. But then people start to create content that's more educational. So this is not a secret, but the reason why I create Crypto OGs is because it was I like to interview people anyway, but it was the easiest way to create content and then structure it in different fragments, right? So I have a 20 minutes, 40 minutes podcast, then I can split it into reels. And it was not me shining in the podcast, it was my guest. So when you're giving the stage to somebody, it's much better. Now, the other part of you were talking about sponsors or collaborators. If you bring good sponsor into your show or into your podcast or your Twitter, the sponsoring, you are not pushing aggressively a product or service to your community. You are putting it out there, putting it here and say it's up to you to buy it or to subscribe, right? I think that and most of the content creators that are very successful right now is because they educate the community. It takes longer. It takes way longer. I have done 150 episodes. I have put a lot of money, resources, time, effort, energy on my podcast and in my content. And it wasn't easy. The first 6 months when I started as a KOL, I was just going to all the shows, paying my stuff from my pocket, and then raising my hand, hey, I'm going to do it. I put myself out there. And it took nearly 8 to 1 year to start to make money of the content. So people think it's straightforward, but it's not. You have to add value first.
Yes, it's very interesting how you see it, because I know a lot of people who took a while until, they got viral or people noticed them. And other people, like, it's instant.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, this path of content creation, because for some people, it never happened.
It never happened.
So who knows what's the secret, what behind that. And I really believe that everybody could create content as long as they are passionate about it, because it's something that you need to be consistent. And motivation is important. However, if you are motivated one day and then the next one you are not, the discipline is what will make you succeed. Because maybe one day you don't feel doing it, but you have this discipline. Okay, even if I don't feel like doing it today, I will do it. After 100 days, you will have 100 pieces of content.
Yeah.
Whether if you are just, inspired one day and then after you say, oh, I'm tired today, I'm not feeling like doing it. So, I also believe this is very important. I saw one image of one rabbit and one turtle.
Yeah.
So the rabbit has the motivation.
Yeah.
So the rabbit was like jumping faster than the turtle. And then the rabbit just was lazy and stayed there.
Chill.
And the turtle never stopped. It was very slow, but consistent. So guess who won?
The turtle. The turtle with a nice car.
Exactly. It's just very easy concept to understand in your mind, because I think we need very easy examples to understand how we behave, and we need to be very self-aware.
Cristina, let me tell you a secret.
Uh-huh.
Talking about this, I'm talking about freedom. This is a secret that I done. And people, maybe I'm crazy, but that's the way I have been doing the last 6 years as an entrepreneur. You have to, they say, quemar los barcos in Spanish, burn your boats.
Yeah.
So what I have been doing the last 6 years, when I'm feeling comfortable or in my comfort zone, I burn my boats. For example, I've been bankrupt the last 6 years twice. No money, debt. But then when I start to create content or going to events, I put myself more in debt because I know how to make that money back really fast. I do that all the time. For example, when I moved to Dubai, I know if I moved here, I was going to have more opportunity. So I spent a bunch of money to move here. And now what I do, and I haven't told this to many people, I put all my crypto aside like it doesn't exist. I don't touch it. Like I wake up every single day, like I haven't created one piece of content where I have only $10 in my wallet. That made me go and find more opportunities and create more content. Because if I have an example, $1 million in my wallet, and I'm not creating content, that money is going to finish one day, right? So I always burn my boats because I don't have more choice. If I don't make money, I have to pay for my kids' education, school, and food. I've been like this the last 6 years. I like to not think every day I have money in my wallet. I like to put myself in difficult situations, so I have to work for it.
And that's very interesting because I can connect this with something that you said before about peace of mind. That means freedom. How do you manage to have this peace of mind and this mindset of thinking,
I don't have anything? That's a good question. I don't manage it. It depends on the time of the year, right? So
like seasons?
I put in compartments. So there's a book, I can't remember the name of the book, but this guy put everything in compartment, all his ideas, all his money. So for example, if I go on the weekend and I'm with my family and the kids are running the beach and they want an ice cream or they want to spend or they want a toy, I don't think about it. I just buy it, right? I buy it because that's freedom for me. My kids having I didn't have much when I was a teenager. I was really poor, but that's freedom for me. But when I, for example, in business mode during the week, I had to think I don't have any money. So I put it depends of the situation that I am. If I'm in business mode, well, I can go to a meeting or a dinner and I pay a bunch of money for a client. But if I had to make the money that day really fast, I don't have the peace of mind anymore. I had to make it. So I had to play with it. So my freedom, I can just play with both sides.
Yeah, like having peace of mind, but at the same time, knowing that you need to keep
going.
Yes, very interesting, Andres. I love to talk about this because being in Dubai and being an entrepreneur and being in the media space is very interesting, especially in crypto where a lot of things happen every single day. A lot of scams, you see a lot of people creating new projects, meme coins, creating new layer ones. So how do you see the media in this season now?
That's a very good question. I was in a flight to Singapore. I think you were as well. The Web3 TV team were there. There were so many people in crypto there and so many projects. And I was talking to different content creators and people that are doing media. We have a responsibility now as some media or content creators to showcase what is happening in the world, right? Especially within crypto. But I think that there's also a responsibility from the audience to get educated. Look, I understand that it's my responsibility if I tell somebody, look, this token is going to be a good fit for you because I think it has good tokenomics. I believe it has good team behind. But I'm not entirely responsible 100% when the token launch. If something happened with the world, it can be a war, it can be a chip in the economy in Europe. I don't control all of that. So I think it's very important to everybody that create media, tell all the audience, always, no financial advice, do your research, and you can lose everything. I have lost everything twice, and I didn't blame anybody. But I think so we're in a culture that is a lot of blame around. We need to stop with that. You have to take ownership and responsibility of your mistakes and also of your good decisions. But people getting more smart. With the media, I think so X is helping a lot. There's a lot of part that say this is not true or this is based on fiction, whatever. I think so we're in a moment that media is really important, but also the users and the spectators are getting more wise, which is good because then us as a content creators or media companies, we need to become more smart how to communicate ideas to them, but also being responsible, but keeping it entertaining. That's the thing with crypto. If you go all the way back, and I tell this to my son, if you read the white paper, it's boring. The paper is so boring. It's 18 pages, talk about, I understood it because I started computer engineering. But you're not going to spend 8 billion of people read this white paper and have a massive adoption. No. Then you have, for example, the book that I told you, Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper, that has a storytelling. So you need to have both sides. You have the technical side. But this is the big thing with crypto and blockchain and Web3. Cristina, the thing is, when you use your phone, let's go back to Web2 and Web1. When you use your phone, you don't know what is a TCP/IP protocol. You don't know what is OC layers. That's all the stuff that I studied by uni. I studied 8 semesters of networking, like networking solution, right? I understand all of that. But then when I use my phone, I'm not thinking, what protocol is this web browser using? But the big difference in crypto and blockchain, people want to understand because it's money. It's not free. That's the big difference.
Yes, I think that people understanding what they are doing is important, and also understanding the power behind it and why everybody is talking about it, even though sometimes crypto is highlighted as something bad.
Yeah.
Before it was more popular, but now people are more open to it.
Okay.
Yes, because a lot of companies, famous companies, are using it. Starbucks had a loyalty program with NFTs. And you have seen a lot of banks using Bitcoin now. El Salvador has Bitcoin as their currency.
Yeah.
So I think these case studies are very relevant for people to really understand that there is an opportunity. However, there is also your responsibility to do your homework, to go and read. We are doing a podcast here. It's easier for me, at least. I love to listen to things. I love to watch things. So maybe if you are not, type of person who likes to read, I think this is very useful.
Yeah.
And that's why we are creating this space. We want to showcase how Web3 can make you free because, as you mentioned, you can have all the information as well. You can make a lot of money, but also it's not just about that. It's about understanding how you can be more stable with it, right? Because that's the wave that we have now. As you mentioned before, people were attracted to Lamborghinis, to houses, but at the end of the day, not everybody can achieve that lifestyle.
No.
So even though if they make a lot of money with crypto, it has to be used in a different way. So it was a pleasure having you, Andres.
Thank you, Cristina.
It was a nice conversation. Thank you so much for coming.
It was a peace of mind.
Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay tuned for the next episode. We are going to bring more guests for you because you need to understand more how to use this technology, how Web3 can change your life, and keep watching Web3 TV because you have a lot of resources. See you next time.
Web3.tv